रेकी वन नाबू हमारा नाम है विनोद लाल फैंटम रेडियो फीजी 2 हम लोग बहुत लाइक करता हुआ ये सुनता
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन.
In this bulletin, ILO estimates pandemic affected 115,000 workers, bleak future for construction industry, and new mining methods proposed.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Atera Lendua.
New estimates from the International Labour Organization indicates about 115,000 Fijian workers have been affected by the pandemic. The ILO's COVID-19 impact assessment on employment and businesses shows those workers are on leave without pay, unemployed, or working on reduced hours. ILO Director for Pacific Island countries, Martin Karimli, says they've shared these findings with the government through the United Nations.
When we look at the figures of the survey in Fiji, initially we see that the people surveyed and the employers and employers surveyed, it demonstrates that there are about 115,000 workers affected by pandemic in Fiji, and 60% of these workers, they actually transited to the different forms of employment. As people transit to different forms of employment, it also increases the number of informal workers.
The Construction Industry Council believes the economic slowdown will continue to impact the sector for over a year. President Gordon Jenkins says ongoing work that carried them through these past few months. However, the future looks bleak. Jenkins says construction companies will make adjustments due to COVID-19, including laying off staff if the need arises. He adds investor confidence might be severely affected due to the impact of the pandemic.
I think most of the industry will survive, but there's going to be some of the ones maybe in a weaker position that could fall off the end of the cliff and say goodbye. It hasn't happened yet, but there's a possibility it will happen in the future.
The Ministry of Lands and Mineral Resources is assisting and proposing new mining methods to 8 companies currently operating in Fiji. Permanent Secretary Dr. Rachel Litanga says the strategy is to ensure that all mining activity taking place across the country is sustainable and will not pose environmental risks. There are 8 mining leases in Fiji and 32 active exploration licenses, with 10 new applications currently being facilitated. Dr. Tanga adds companies proposing to conduct any mining locally need to first fulfill the criteria set out by the Director of Mines.
For mining, legal access. So that legal access has to be with them before we can grant them a mining lease or even exploration for that matter. So they have to have the legal access, legal rights to the access, so that they will be able to access the site for mining. Yeah? So that legal right is given by either the state for state land and also TLTB for native land.
The Fiji National Provident Fund has identified 2 major issues as to why some members do not have sufficient funds in their accounts. The members only come to find out about this when they turned up to apply for the COVID-19 assistance. Chief Executive Chauji Koroi says some employers have not been making employee contributions, while in some cases, employees have made arrangements for no deductions. The CEO has called on employers not to entertain the practice, and an equal plea has been made to members to prevent arrangements that would affect their fund balance.
Unfortunately, we have seen members that have turned up to realize that their contributions have not been paid to the fund. Sometimes members can have separate arrangements with the employers not to deduct contribution or pay directly to them. Now it's a time that they see, okay, there's a value in putting our money with FNPF.
The Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry has set up a think tank to come up with proposals for the 2020 2021 national budget. Minister Fayaz Koya says this budget will be unlike any in the past since COVID-19 has drastically changed the landscape in the private sector. Koya adds, now more than ever, his ministry's policy guidelines need to be creative and innovative.
The page that we work off changes every day. So they've got eyes on the world with respect to what's happening, what measures are being put in place, different governments around the world. We've had the assistance of the World Bank, IFC, and ILO with all the surveys to get all the necessary materials.
8 out of the 13 arrests made for breach of curfew in the last 24 hours were linked to alcohol. 5 people were arrested in the Northern Division. 4 individuals, including a 19-year-old student, were found drunk in Lambasa, while a 33-year-old was found walking at the Loboniwono area in Tabiuni. In the Southern Division, 2 men, both in their 20s, were found drunk in the Watuanga and Raiwanga area. 5 people were arrested in the Western Division for loitering in Nandi and Lotoka, including a 26-year-old man currently under bail conditions. The lone case in the Central Division involved a 30-year-old man who was found drunk in Turek, Suva. The University of the South Pacific is moving ahead with plans for face-to-face teaching in semester 2 starting August 3rd. Acting Deputy Vice Chancellor Chito Vanua says there will also be an equivalent remote component for students unable to attend face-to-face classes due to current travel restrictions. Vanua adds that USB will consider all precautionary measures set out by the government and the World Health Organization to help prevent the spread of a second outbreak of COVID-19 in Fiji. Up ahead, FRU works on Sevens plan and Bar Suva match rescheduled.
Bula FM number 2 en seri.
The Fiji Rugby Union is looking at alternatives following the cancellation of the remaining rounds in the World Sevens series. Getting game time for our men's and women's sevens teams is vital, considering the Olympics is just less than a year away. FRU Chief Executive John O'Connor says they will work with relevant stakeholders to ensure our sevens players get some competitive rugby from now until the borders reopen.
Plan some sevens competition to give our players a game time. Some game time preparation for Dubai and South Africa if they happen. But it's still working in progress at the moment. Continuing discussions with World Rugby.
The Suva Rugby Union women's team aims to go a step further this year in the Skipper Cup competition. They lost to Tailevu 24-15 last year in the semi-final clash, a wound still fresh in their memories. Head coach Tawaita Rawati says the players are trying to blend ahead of the competition.
With the caliber of players that we have, we got a mixture of senior girls and very young girls just out of school. Focus now is just on learning the core skills, making sure they master the core skills, and just learning how to play the 15th game.
The Vodafone Premier League match between Bar and Suva, scheduled for next Sunday, has been moved to August 1st. In other remaining matches for the men in black, they will face Lotoka at Churchill Park on the 15th, Nasinu on the 18th, and Lambasa on the 25th of this month. Fiji Football Association Chief Executive Mohammed Yusuf says this will give Bar players time to catch up with the rest of the teams in the season.
Fixtures have been rescheduled to allow Bar to play matches weekend and midweek. 15th is Bar Navua, 15th is Bar Lotoka, 18th is Bar Nasinu, 22nd is Bar Nandi, 25th is Bar Lambasa.
cloudy periods and cool breezes are forecast for the rest of today and into tomorrow. There may be occasional scattered showers as a low-pressure trough moves away from Fiji. And that's your FBC News now. Join us again at 7 p.m. for our major bulletin. In times of crisis, you need news you can trust. Fight fake news by getting the facts from verified news sources like FBC's TV, radio, and digital news. www.fbcnews.com.fj, keeping Fijians connected with the truth. Enjoy your lunch.
Hi, my name is Prashant. I live in Suva. I love Mirchi FM because Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Mirchi FM, it's hot.